Welcome. You're here because you want reliable insights, fast. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really key question. Is South Africa losing its grip as the world's platinum leader?
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. We've looked at analysis from the Skillings Mining Review podcast, specifically hearing from a global mining strategist and also a resource economist.
And our goal today, pretty simple. We want to figure out if South Africa's platinum crown is maybe slipping a bit. And crucially, why you should be paying attention.
Okay, so right away, what's interesting is you get slightly contrasting takes from the experts.
So?
Well, one perspective really emphasizes the challenges, things like the persistent load shedding, the power cuts.
Right, that's got to be tough for mining. Very energy intensive.
Exactly. It's described as almost an existential threat. Add to that labor instability, historical underinvestment. It paints a picture of decline.
And they see evidence for this.
Yeah, that production drop over 8% year on year, that's not insignificant. It suggests, maybe their market share is eroding. It's definitely a trend to watch.
Okay, but let's hold on to that 8% for a second. Because the other side of the coin is just the sheer amount of platinum still on the ground there.
Oh, absolutely enormous.
We're talking, what, over 75% of the world's known platinum reserves?
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is. Mind-boggling, really. And you still have the major players like Sibanye-Stillwater, Anglo-American Platinum.
Yeah.
They're still operating, still producing significant amounts.
With those challenges you mentioned.
Even with those storms, yeah. But turning potential into consistent output, that's the hurdle. And it's not just internal issues.
Competition.
Competition, right.
Yeah.
South Africa is definitely looking over its shoulder. Russia's still a big producer despite, well, everything going on. And then there's Zimbabwe. They're making some pretty aggressive moves, especially in the Great Dike region. Lots of investment going in there.
With Chinese backing, I understand.
That's right. Significant Chinese investment. That could potentially shift the regional dynamics quite a bit, focusing on infrastructure, tech.
Okay, so internal pressures, external competition. But what about the people who use the platinum? The demand side, that's changing too, isn't it?
Massively. This is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're tracking markets or future tech.
Yeah.
Think about substitution. Palladium. Recycled platinum. They can replace platinum in some uses, but the really big one, like you said, is electric vehicles.
No internal combustion engine.
Means no need for platinum in catalytic converters, which has been a huge market.
So EVs taking off could really hurt platinum demand.
It certainly raises that question, yeah. Will future demand hold up? But it's not all negative for platinum.
The hydrogen angle?
Exactly, the hydrogen economy. Platinum is crucial for fuel cells. If that takes off and global green policies push it.
That could be a major new source of demand.
But it could be. But, the million-dollar question is scale. Can hydrogen demand realistically offset the potential drop from the auto sector? That's still quite uncertain.
So it really feels like a complex balancing act.
Or maybe a high-stakes chess game. That's a good way to put it. Challenges versus potential game changers.
And you mentioned Russia earlier. Geopolitics must play a role too, right?
Absolutely. The instability around Russia, it could, maybe paradoxically, make South Africa look like a safer bet for some Western buyers right now.
Supply security. That's become huge.
It really has. So while Zimbabwe's rise, especially with that targeted investment in the Great Dike, poses a regional challenge, global uncertainty might actually sort of help South Africa in some ways.
So the core tension remains.
Precisely. South Africa undeniably has the resource wealth, no question. But the real uncertainty, as the experts highlight, is their resilience. Can they navigate these internal issues and fend off the competition?
Okay, so let's circle back. Our initial question. Is South Africa's platinum crown slipping?
Well, based on this, I'd say it's definitely wobbling.
Oh.
Maybe not falling off yet, but certainly less secure than it once was.
The potential's there. The reserves are vast. But the pressures, internal, external demand shifts. They're creating a much more complex picture.
Yeah.
It feels like the sector's resilience is really being tested.
Yeah, it is. And that leaves a really interesting thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on.
Go on.
Think about this interplay. You've got massive resource wealth on one side, but then you factor in infrastructure reliability or lack thereof, technological innovation, and the sheer unpredictability of global politics. How do all those things collide to decide who really leads in these crucial resource industries?
That's a great point.
And maybe think, what other sectors, what other resources might be facing a similar kind of perfect storm of pressures and uncertainties right now? Something to consider.